Welcome. This is Michael Cameron of the Win-Win with Cannabis Radio Show. We are on every Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Each week we get to talk to really interesting people within the cannabis space, CEOs of cannabis companies, executives, subject matter experts, and we like to share with the world all the cool things that are going on within the cannabis industry. But our guests in this segment, good morning.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
I am well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on.
For sure. If you could make all the introductions.
Yeah, of course. My name is Guillermo Bravo. I'm the CEO and founder of Foot Traffic. Foot Traffic is a digital marketing agency and marketing software platform designed specifically for cannabis dispensaries and delivery services. So, the whole goal of our company is set in our name. It's to drive foot traffic to dispensaries. It's to drive customers and to drive sales.
All right,
and we do that through mobile devices and digital marketing.
And Guillermo, you're going to have to share with the world that you're a much better man than I, because you're located in San Francisco?
Yes, that's correct.
So it is about 6:30 a.m., and you've already worked out this morning.
Yeah, I had to get some energy for the radio show. I had to get ready for you.
Wow, what time do you get up?
4:20.
All right, well, good stuff. Well, listen, we appreciate you hanging out with us here with the Win-Win with the Cannabis Show and getting up so early. But let's get right into this. Obviously, there are some potential challenges with the cannabis industry when it comes to marketing, especially on the recreational side. I mean, obviously, it's not legal on a federal level, so there are some things from a Facebook perspective and other social media sites that there may be some disadvantages as far as promoting products, and we're going to really focus this interview on dispensaries, because that's really your focus is local dispensaries and how they can attract new clients, how they can really create the content and build brand awareness because of digital marketing strategies that you and people, and folks that own digital marketing agencies like you have to offer. So let's talk about, the localization of your digital marketing strategies, where you can obviously help a dispensary, be very, very successful, because the competition is great, and it's only going to get greater. So why don't we just start off with some of the ideas that I took from your website. Let's talk about, for example, cannabis marketing, local SEO. What are some of the things that you share with your clients as far as getting them in a position where they can be successful?
Yeah, the first thing, thank you, Michael, for that question. The first thing I want to address is, there are limitations in the cannabis space, but there's really not that many, to be honest. There's a lot of talk of how handcuffed we are as far as what we can do due to compliance, due to federal laws, due to all these factors, right? We are limited in a few things. I'll just start with that. Facebook, Instagram, that's a public company. They follow the federal guidelines, and they have their own rules. So if you promote the sale or use of a recreational drug, which is cannabis, in the eyes of Facebook and federal laws, then that's prohibited. So boom, that channel's completely gone. You cannot advertise on Facebook and Instagram. You can advertise on Google. So there's definitely some ways to get ads approved on Google. So that's a huge channel. The way I look at the web as a whole is you really have your search engines, which is primarily Google, Bing, and then for cannabis you have Leafly and Weedmaps. And then you have your social media accounts, and that's primarily LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Those are the big ones. Then you have your media channels, right? So that's the YouTube and all the other video providers. So as I look at the market, like as far as the different channels you can use, that's what you have available to you. And what I like to tell my potential clients is that you should focus on assets that you have control over. Social media, your social media accounts are not owned by you. With no reason, Zuckerberg can shut your accounts down, and they don't have to provide any details into why. And it's very common for cannabis companies to have their accounts shut down, which is terrible. You invest so much money into your brand presence and so on. So there are limitations. Number one. Number two, there are a lot of channels that you can leverage. So, as a dispensary, you really want to focus on customers within, let's say, 1 mile in metropolitan areas, all the way up to 10 miles in rural areas. So you really want to hyper target customers based on their location. And how do you know their location? Their cell phones. What does everybody have in their pocket? An iPhone, an Android phone. People, this is an extension of yourself. So with the emergence of mobile devices, this has really given us a channel where we can leverage location-based marketing, which is essential for dispensaries. So I'll just kind of dive into a few channels that we recommend as far as having high value and high ROI. So the first one would be Google Ads. Google advertising, and the reason that Google is one of the most valuable companies in the world is because they provide the most advanced search engine, and they have the most advanced marketing platform. So when someone is searching for, let's say I'm in San Francisco, and I just search on Google for a dispensary or a dispensary near me, you'll see different results on there on the homepage of Google or in your Google Maps. There are organic results, which are from SEO, but then there are paid results, which are above those. So you can actually pay per click, meaning anytime that someone clicks on the ad, you can pay 50 cents all the way up to $5 per click. So you can actually run ads, and you can set parameters. For example, I want to target everyone within 3 miles that is searching for a cannabis store. As simple as that. And you can create ads to target these customers that are highly relevant. And you can do this. You can turn this on, and you can see results instantly. So I really like to focus on Google Ads in the beginning of a campaign, especially if you're just opening the store. So if you just have a grand opening, like, how are you going to get people to your store? You need some forms of advertising that are, instant, that you can see results quickly, so that you can, earn income and get people in your store and reinvest that and grow your presence. So Google Ads on my side is a no-brainer. It's low cost per acquisition. I would say between $2 and $8 to get a customer. It could be a little more depending on competition in market. For example, Las Vegas, it's double, triple that price. So Los Angeles is very expensive as well. So Google Ads is the first one. The second are geo ads, and these are location-based mobile ads. And the difference between this and Google is that Google is its own market. So that's Google.com, Google Maps, and all the platforms that they own, including YouTube. Mobile device ads are everything else that allows cannabis, minus Facebook, Instagram, and all the social media companies. So, ESPN Sports, TMZ, Zillow, all these publications allow you to show cannabis ads. So there's quite a bit of publications and media companies and mobile apps that allow this, and you have access to those customers. So Mobile ads, Google ads are text-based ads. So they're just text, and you click on those to get redirected to a dispensary's website or their location page.
Let me interject here for a moment. I'm just curious.
Yeah, go ahead.
So as all this evolves, because at the end of the day, what your business is focusing on dispensaries developing a brand. You're increasing brand awareness as far as they're the go-to dispensary for people within a 3, 4, 5, whatever, a 10-mile radius, right? So
correct.
And the reason why you want to establish that brand is because technology is changing so rapidly. Because 5 years from now, you're going to be showing, I would imagine, you're going to be showing or helping businesses deal with Alexa, right? I mean, because what I'm going to be doing when I want something, for example, I'm going to ask Alexa for a plumber. Who's the local plumber, within a few miles where I live? What is the best dispensary within a few miles where I live? So all this...
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, all this, I mean, whenever you can get in there and establish a brand and establish repeat customers, the earlier you can do that, the better, because technology is just taking everything over. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad that you brought that up. So what that is called, Alexa and Siri and Cortana and all these different platforms, that's called voice search. And that's something that we already do, and that's something that we already, dominate a lot of the major markets with. So we actually started doing that about 3 years ago in anticipation of it being a popular marketing channel. And it has been, has proven to be valuable to clients. In fact, it will dominate, right? It won't dominate the way people look for services. Yes, yeah. As AI gets more sophisticated, right, and the results get more accurate, people are going to trust it more. Yeah, and they're going to use it more. And when they use it more, these programs are going to get more data. And with more data means more accurate results. So, that's going to be, the way I always explain voice search is, all right, you're driving on a freeway, and you see a billboard for a dispensary. You're not going to pick up your phone and look for directions because that's illegal in California. So, ask Siri, hey Siri, where is Green Goddess Collective? Boom. Here you go. Would you like to go there? Yes. Done. And that way you're compliant with the local laws, and you have a creative way to get customers. So while they have intent to purchase, right? So yeah. I know you bundle your services and so on and so forth, and at the end of the day, you sit down with its dispensary and you're all ears, right? You need to really educate yourself as far as how they're trying to develop a successful strategy, and then from there, you take that information and you really advise them on the best strategy to help their cause. Yeah. So I guess the transition back to kind of the marketing side, the geo ads, the one thing I wanted to say is that the geo ads give you the ability to target customers based on their location. And not only that, you can actually target them based on their profile, their income, their gender, their zip code, their occupation, their interest, all these different items, similar to the same way that Facebook allows you to do these things. So it's very valuable to invest in some type of geo ads, because just like Google ads, they're instant. You can put a fence around your competitors and target them and target all their customers. I'm in San Francisco. I can put a fence around the metro line and target everyone who gets off the BART and train systems here. I can import my customer list into our retargeting platform, and I can do what are called lookalike audiences, which became popular from Facebook. And what this is it looks at your profile. Let's say 35 male, athletic, enjoys enjoys cannabis and outdoor hiking or something like that. And I can find people that look like you and market to those people. So geo ads are very valuable, as you can market people in mobile apps that are very popular, like Match.com or Zillow or TMZ. So it gives you access to a lot of people. As you mentioned before, SEO is another important channel. But the only problem with SEO is that it's a long-term play. You're not going to see results immediately. So that's why I mentioned the Google ads and geo ads first, as you can start to, grow your business with those two channels. And then you should consider SEO and creating content and your reputation online as a third channel. And that can take anywhere from 90 days to 6 months to a year to see results. So you really want to kind of plan that in your brand awareness campaign. And the easiest way I like to explain SEO as far as how it's graded is just look at your credit score. SEO essentially has its own FICO score. You have a rating from 0 to 100. Most small businesses are in the 25 to 45 range. The only companies that are in the hundreds are Google, Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, all these massive websites, Netflix. So you want to build the authority and trust and relevancy of your brand so that search engines like Google will trust you. And it takes time. It takes, Google really likes aged websites, meaning, they're 2 years, 5 years, 10 years old, because that means they're trustworthy. So the easiest way, to explain SEO would be, you have to build your authority and build your trust so that you can get a higher FICO score. And when you have a higher FICO score, you'll get more organic traffic and you'll get more there'll be longevity for your business because you'll get free traffic all the time. So those are the big 3 marketing channels to get customers. And to retain customers, text message marketing is really the holy grail.
Yeah.
So you need to do everything you can to capture customers' information, their name, their email, most importantly, their phone number. And if you're using the right online menus and point of sale systems, then you can actually collect their purchasing habits, similar to what Amazon does. So that's the final straw, right? So there's geo ads, Google ads, and SEO to get new customers in your store. Make sure that you have them join your loyalty program or rewards, get their information, and then nurture those relationships so that you can increase the lifetime value of that customer.
You mentioned this on your website. I'm not sure how much you kind of get into this, but to me, you would think the training of the bud tender would be, and now that you've really highlighted the compliance challenges that dispensaries are dealing with, you really need to hire people who really can connect with people. And are they pretty much limited in what the information they can share in products? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, you can't make any, they can make recommendations based on what they know as far as information, but if someone comes in and says, I have, let's say cancer, they can't recommend anything that's going to treat it. They can say, here's some different suggestions that we'd recommend, or not recommend, that we would suggest based on what we know, but we're not, medical professionals. And even the dispensaries with certified nurses, they can't do that either. So you have to be really careful with what you say on your website, in person, and just be compliant, because there's the HIPAA compliance, there's state compliance, there's the FDA. So there's a lot of things that you need to be aware of so that you can ensure that you keep your doors open.
So what happens when cannabis, medical cannabis becomes illegal in, say, 2.5 years? I think it will happen. And so now you have the FDA involved, and now you're dealing with all this intel and research that's been done by Canada and Israel and in the UK, and how much influence that information or that research will have with the U.S. FDA, only time will tell. But how does that change the dispensaries as far as, all right, now they're getting products that are approved by the FDA. They could be a product that's produced in California, and now it can be sold in New York, for example. How does that change when it comes to the overall marketing piece?
I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. So even if it does go legal, it's going to take quite some time for them to do studies, because I know that the current studies that they're doing in the U.S. at least have terrible product. So they're not even doing efficient studies. So yeah, I think it's going to take some time. Let's say if it goes legal in 4 years, it's probably going to take another 4 to 12 to maybe even longer for those things to be passed. And the reason why is because all the special interests that are going to lose money, right? So they're going to delay this as much as possible.
Interesting. So really, at the end of the day, you're such a valuable resource for a dispensary. As you mentioned early on, there are some limitations that we talked about. And
yes.
And technology is changing. Digital marketing is changing so rapidly. So I think it's very difficult to run a business and be an expert when it comes to digital marketing, because that's very time consuming. I mean, things change with Google and so on and so forth. So I think it only behooves you to partner with someone who really specializes in that space. I think you would agree with that, right?
Yes, and we're doing our best to. I started the company with the goal of elevating the industry in general. So I've given away a lot of free information. We have an ebook on the website. We've written 200 articles. We have a webinar series. Given away a lot of information just so that, we want you to at least follow the best practices and do things yourself if you're, you have budget limitations. We want you to be successful. There's a lot of opportunity there, and you already, it already costs you a lot. There's a high barrier to entry to get in the business. So we want to see you successful. We're providing all this information for free, and it, can be found on foottraffic.co. And I'm hosting a webinar next week on data compliance and collecting data and how to use it, and just try to provide, as you said, transparency into everything. So
excellent.
And then you kind of, to add on to that, it's we have the difference between kind of doing this in house and bringing on a team like ours is that you have access to 30 people instead of just one brain, right? So. And everyone has their different, they have their own expertise.
I hear you. Well, we're at the end of the show here.
Yeah.
So I want to listen. I want to thank you very much for hanging out with us here on the Win-Win with Cannabis show. And remember, your website, it's .co versus .com. So that's how people can find you. And thanks very much for enlightening me and hopefully other people as far as what is happening in the digital marketing space for dispensaries. That was good stuff. Thanks for all your info.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Michael.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Take